We Infuse Podcast, episode number 71. Welcome to the We Infuse Podcast. My name is Amanda Brummett. In every episode, we give you a seat at the table as we talk to infusion center owners, operators, and experts so that you get the insight you need to run a thriving practice. In this episode, we talk with Layne Martin, Senior Vice President, General Manager, Specialty at Morris Dickson. Layne shares his journey into specialty pharmaceuticals and insights into smarter purchasing for sustainability of infusion centers. Well, Layne, thank you so much for being here with us today. If you could start by just telling our listeners who you are and what your background is.
Yeah, sure. I was at McKesson for about 20 years or so, which is, a long time. But I mean, found them in 2001. I had lived in the Bay Area at the time. And, I guess as you will, in that time, everybody was in a .com. So I had been struggling and trying to figure out a way to get rich quick in the .com era. And that business kind of, it did what all of them did in that time, is it went out of business. So I was on the job market, as were many people. And I think it was like an online posting, maybe even a monster.com posting, something like that. I found McKesson and happened to get the job there. So, my first day on the job, as it happened, like shockingly, it was September 11th, 2001 was my first day in McKesson. So
oh my goodness.
Yeah. I didn't work a whole lot that first day. My second day on the job, I came back and tried to roll up my sleeves. But, I spent much of that time negotiating distribution contracts for pharmaceutical products with pharmaceutical manufacturers, so biopharma customers. It really became like a great way to build some credibility in the pharma world. The key there was to figure out a way to align my interests as a distributor with that of the pharmaceutical manufacturer and with the downstream healthcare practitioner, right? You started to build some relationships. You started to get to know the products. You started to learn a little bit about how to build sustainable supply chains, and maybe more than anything, just build some trust that you do what you say and say what you're going to do, right? So that's probably the biggest thing that I learned there. And then right around 2020, I got a chance to go off and work. Apparently, I didn't learn from the .com bubble. I went and took a couple of roles in digital pharmacy, especially pharmacy, where I got a chance to learn firsthand kind of how a specialty pharmacy transformed care in self-administered products. Really, it's some of the similar themes is what I think some of our listeners might experience. That you're building a brand around caring for patients, building trust with your providers that are referring these patients to you, and showing that you've got some skill in helping care for patients access insurance benefits and improve their outcomes. So, a couple of different terms before I came to Morris Dickson.
Yeah. Well, I'm bummed for you that the get rich quick thing didn't work out, but it seems like specialty pharmacy is probably better since you're in it.
I'm not sure that get rich quick would have helped anything in my life, so no complaints.
So, Layne, did 5-year-old Layne want to be a .com guy or a specialty pharmacy distributor? Like, how did you find yourself in this industry?
Oh no, I think 5-year-old Layne wanted to be Mike Schmidt. I guess I was I was a big baseball fan, and I was convinced I was going to be in the Hall of Fame. This didn't work out quite the same way as he did. So no, I got a chance to get in the specialty world in somewhere around 2007, which is early days for the specialty market as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear that the drug pipeline was robust, and all these people were talking about how that was going to disrupt the wholesale environment, but we didn't really know what it meant or how we were going to do it, right? But we'd seen one of our competitors grow substantially in the space, and we had this vague idea that specialty was going to drive the market going forward, and so I got a chance to become part of that for us. So as a second employee in our specialty business, which really just means that
wow,
I got to make all the mistakes and learn all the lessons about how to innovate, and we stormed and normed our way into what's now a quite successful business. I think this was we had to take a bit of a disruptive approach. We differentiated ourselves by listening to our customers, listening to our pharma partners, and really hear their needs and try to develop solutions that address that. So, that over the course of 2007 to 2020, I think we took a business that was in a distant last place position in the market. And by the time I left in 2020, it was a market leader in specialty distribution. It was, I think you could say that in a lot of ways they're laying out the strategy roadmap for everyone else in the industry at this point.
What an incredible time to be in specialty pharmacy that early on. And as for baseball, I think we should go ahead and give you an honorary gold glove for your efforts.
If only.
So, Layne, you have a long and rich history in both the finance and the distribution sides of pharma. So, a real vast knowledge of all the players. What made you choose Morris Dickson when you were deciding to make your next move?
Well, I found the Morris Dickson folks in around 2022, at a time when they were in a position that's not all that different than the specialty story I just told back in the early days of the market. They were pretty well behind their competitors in the specialty space. But, just as in 2007, I think there was a market that was ripe for a disruptive message. Mm-hmm. So it was an exciting place for me to go. Pharma, they're not overly happy with this highly consolidated, vertically integrated, model in the distribution space right now. And providers, I think, aren't convinced that the industry consolidation is doing as much to help them as it is to enrich the investors and market aggregators and distributors themselves. So, the Dicksons have proven to me time and time again that they both have the ability and the willingness to invest in this space. So, and they've, generally speaking, asked me to help guide them along this path as we try to, grow into this marketplace. So it's been an amazing opportunity for me to come and kind of innovate again as a market disruptor, but this time maybe with the benefit of a little bit of experience.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Dicksons. So as I understand, Morris Dickson is a very old company, like even late 1800s. And the Dicksons are the family that still runs it. Is that accurate?
That's right. Yeah. It's been around since 1841. So, wow. They have a nice legacy to point to. And there are 3 of the Dicksons, I believe it's the 7th or 8th generation. The 3 of them are involved in the business today in various leadership roles. And, I get a chance to interact with them. This is a privately held business with, no outside kind of stuff on our cap table. So I get a chance to interact with the Dicksons every day, and we're building a business together.
Very cool. Very cool. I don't think we run into that a lot these days. So I like it.
It's true.
Yeah. So tell me about their specialty pharma distribution. Like if you've got, your 60-second or 30-second elevator pitch, what is it?
I guess the elevator pitch really is that we truly understand and appreciate the role that an infusion center plays in disrupting some of the older and costlier care delivery models out there.
Right.
Helping to deliver care to patients in need. We're deeply committed to the mission of helping these infusion businesses create sustainable business models in support of their patient care goals.
Yeah.
If I think about what that means, I don't know. That's my elevator pitch, right? But if I think about what that means, I think it's about ensuring that they get a quality distribution service model. Make sure that if something goes wrong, that we're invested in making it right. And, like, can you actually call somebody and get someone to help when there's a problem? Because there will be issues, right?
Sure.
And then obviously using some of that McKesson experience I referred to earlier, like we want to really ensure the ongoing stability of the buy and bill market as a whole, right? Help providers know there's novel therapies that are coming to market, or maybe help them understand when there's a loss of exclusivity product coming, maybe there are alternatives that can help them save some money, or even advocate on their behalf with pharmaceutical companies and try and help them get access to some of the limited distribution products that can sometimes really vex these providers.
Wow. Okay. So almost like a consulting role built in within the distribution.
That's how we really want to approach it, right? Because I think that is the unmet need in the market, is that folks want someone who really is trying to help, not just trying to monetize them.
Yeah. So you mentioned when things go wrong, and I have heard about your cold chain distribution trucks. Can you tell us about those and when people might need that?
We do think this is a differentiator for us. By virtue of the model that we have, this business has been traditionally located in the Southeast region of the United States. We are now a national distributor, but our primary distribution operations are in Shreveport, Louisiana, and soon to be in Memphis, Tennessee. But because of the historic nature of this geography, we've created all of our distribution operations with our own fleet of trucks. Mm-hmm. So that gives us an advantage. We're reaching 13 states out of one building using our own fleet, so we never have to worry about whether our trucks are getting out on the road when there's a storm or snow or ice or something like that. This business gets out and our trucks hit the road every day, no matter what. So there is a certain something to that. We take advantage of that opportunity to make sure that we're able to deliver every single day. And I mentioned our willingness to invest, by virtue of the fact that we're not public company or not, the public capital markets. We're not chasing that kind of scale and efficiency target that you never seem to reach, right? So we don't mind investing in quality around our cold chain capabilities. We've done a couple of interesting things. We use a great partner called AeroSafe Global that we signed up with last year. We use them for all of our outbound deliveries when there's a cold chain pack out. It gives us, a 72-hour rated pack out, so this product can sit for over a weekend if it has to. And if we did it around a Friday and the customer can't get around to a Monday, they've got, a qualified pack out for 72 hours. They've got all the data to show that, whether their product feels warm, we can actually show them that their product stayed at temperature the entire 70 hours, 72 hours that it was in that pack out, and we can help assure them that this product is safe and ready to use no matter what. These are the kinds of things that, like, if you really were only going for efficiency, you might not do.
Yeah. Yeah. And these drugs are thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole supply chain is built around high value products that you need to be very precise, and you got to be on time, and you've got to make sure you come to work every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that being privately owned allows you guys to be a little bit more nimble? Like when you see a shift in the market and you need to do something about it, are you able to move more quickly?
Well, we certainly work to that. Mm-hmm. That's something that you do strive for, right? I mean, as opposed to striving for scale or efficiency, we certainly strive to be nimble every day. We think we do a pretty good job. I was talking to a manufacturer this morning who was saying that, their things that mattered to them is they wanted someone who were willing to invest in carrying a little bit more supply of product, because these products sometimes can have, maybe the market shortages for supply of the drug. So, carrying a little bit more on hand than maybe is makes your finance person happy.
Yeah,
right? That's one of the things that we're willing to do, and that's in a way that's nimble. But that's really just around what is the thing that the market needs, and what are you willing to do to kind of support that? I mean, that's helping support pharma, but honestly, that's really supporting the patient, because in moments when these products go on short supply, if you've got an extra, couple months of supply of this product, you're able to kind of weather these supply chain disruptions that do inevitably happen. I mean, the market has seen these time and time again in the last several years. So that's the kind of thing you can do if you really are focused on helping everyone succeed, instead of whether you make your quarterly number or not.
Yeah. I could not imagine being one of these patients with a debilitating autoimmune condition and fearing whether or not we could get my drug. Sounds terrifying.
That's the thing that I think if there's one thing that makes me lose sleep at night, it's that, like, if you ever realize and you're talking to a provider and you see that that's what, you failed them in that respect and they had to turn a patient away. I mean, that's just the thing you don't want to do.
Yeah.
That's our true north, if you will.
Definitely. Well, that's a really good illustration of one of the many challenges that infusion centers face. What do you find is the biggest challenge within specialty pharmacy? Is it a certain drug, a certain process?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'd say to lead there. I mean, we always want to lead with curiosity in these things. So, I mean, number one thing for me is I want to always listen and learn for the folks that are closer to the patient than I am. So I guess in some ways, if anyone out there has a chance to talk to me, I'd love to hear what they have to say. But our feedback from our customers right now mostly focuses on gaining clarity and transparency around product pricing, maybe what products they're eligible to infuse, which ones are not. Right. So are there incentives in place that farmers put out there that they're eligible for, but maybe aren't aware of. Right. So these are really issues. This a lot of times this comes down to kind of just that partnership, right? I think there are bigger competitors out there in which these customers tend to be small fish in big ponds. So are they getting the attention? Are they hearing about stuff? Is there a conversation happening between infusion center and their distributor? Our thesis is, and we're hearing that oftentimes there's not. So, we are really out there looking to support our customers' bottom line, and we've created some mechanisms to help with that. We have a GPO called Beacon MD that we started up last year that is really designed to ask pharma to get access to all of the different incentives and pricing and rebate programs that are out there, and so we can bring those programs to bear for our customers and make sure that they are aware of the kind of incentives that they have available to them.
Yeah, definitely. And just, I mean, for anybody that's new to getting into the industry or dipping their toe in it, what kind of, how do those work? Are we talking about a percentage of savings or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a menu. I think when you've seen one, you've seen one.
Okay.
But,
so they need Layne so they don't have to navigate it.
Well, yeah. I mean, oftentimes the first and foremost, there's always an off-invoice discount that's involved, right? So there is some amount of invoice. I mean, these are going to be the pretty traditionally in the buy and bill market. You've got these contracts that have a price that changes along with the reimbursement, the ASP of the drug, right? So it floats with that value, and then there's always some amount of rebate on the back end that the pharma makes available to the member for for performing in some way that the manufacturer wants. So we don't necessarily, we don't dictate any of that. We really are facilitating the program the manufacturer puts in place. But there's usually some combination of an off-invoice discount that allows a margin for the provider and then some amount of rebate in support of the manufacturer's goals.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that clarification there. So with your 20 plus years experience, what would you say is the biggest light bulb moment you've had when it comes to the needs of infusion centers?
Yeah, well, it is really, to me, I guess the light bulb, if you were to be pithy about it, is it turns out the best way to build a meaningful supply chain is to find a way to be valuable to everyone up and down the channel from you, right? So in this case, like, can you create a way to make people want to do business with you again? So the light bulb moment from, if I think about pharma, like, do I help them to design a supply chain that drives value down to the patient and the provider? If I do, then I'm more likely to get repeat business from them, and they're more likely to ask me something about the voice of the customer. How should they think about bringing their next drug to market? Right, that gives me a certain benefit because I'm often, if I'm able to have that conversation with pharma, then I'm usually able to bring my customer's point of view to bear. When I think about it, an infusion center, I think, just showing them that we are as interested in their bottom line as we are in our own. This is about sustainability. Smaller infusion centers, they're often, like I said, they're left to be smaller fish in big ponds a lot of times, which is really unfortunate. And that you think about a lot of these infusion centers are serving remote or rural patient populations, and they may lack options in their care. So that really is the way we try to approach all these things. And if that's a light bulb, then so be it. But we really are trying. That was the aha moment, maybe, as we started to make that turn in McKesson several years ago from innovating disruptor to, this is when we learned that was the key to getting to be a more established player in the market. And the big challenge then, Amanda, becomes, how do you stay that way? Once you become a market leader, can you remain innovative and disruptive I guess I'll see if I get to find that out later on. But right now we get to be disruptive, and we'll continue to act that way.
Yeah, I'm going to check in with you in 2 years.
Please do.
So I understand from Reese that Morris Dickson has joined We Infuse's Distributor Connect program. And so pretty soon, your mutual clients will be able to e-order directly within the We Infuse software platform. Can you tell us about how that will work?
Yeah, so I'm certainly one of the last people out there you'd want to talk tech with. Yeah, I'm going through this process right now. I'm learning as we go, but yes, I mean that's right. My understanding is it is an e-order that gets generated, and I think We Infuse then goes and pings my distribution center to make sure that there is actually supply on hand and that we've got enough to fulfill that customer's order. And once that's confirmed, the customers then have the opportunity to confirm and place that order by EDI to us. So it comes to us electronically, and then they get certain communications back from us that confirming the order receipt, and we'll give status updates when it's been shipped, when it's been received, all that good stuff. So it's a pretty amazing tool that really helps to kind of streamline this entire process that can otherwise be pretty clunky. I mean, we learned about We Infuse sometime mid-year last year, and is a quick adoption for us. We're like, this is the kind of innovation that I think really helps providers, and if it can help us to participate with them, then that's all the better.
Nice. Yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to buy the medications in one system, bill the patient in another system, care for the patient in another system, and as many moving parts as there are in infusion, and as tight as margins are on some of these things, that everything being connected just seems to make sense to me.
And if you spend any time, look at some of these folks that are the pharmacist or the practice administrator, or there's always that person in there who's having to do this task. I mean, those people have a lot of demand on their time. So if you can improve that, then they get closer to caring for the patient and less around the administrative burden running that practice.
Definitely, because I promise nobody went to pharmacy school or nursing school so that they could place orders for drugs and figure out how much it costs.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Layne, what are you most excited about right now in the infusion industry?
Well, I think I'm most excited about, there's an incredible number of novel therapies that are coming to market that will address, oftentimes clinically unmet needs for patients. So, this explosion of interest in the infusion center market really comes at a great time. There's just so much happening. Some of the, Alzheimer's products and myasthenia gravis products, and there's all these neurology indications that are being addressed in new ways. And it's really amazing that patients dealing with these conditions now can have some options around getting a more convenient infusion experience administered by a trained professional, as opposed to going into an acute care hospital setting, which is just maybe not the same kind of level of convenience and support for them. So it's reminiscent of what we saw early days in the oncology community clinics setting in the early 2010s. Is a shift in the site of care for patients. It was coinciding with the boom in the number of novel therapies coming to market. So you saw all of these providers set up community clinics to address that. I think we're seeing some of the same things. It's a bit of a sea change in the way that patients are getting access to these therapies today.
Yeah, I agree. It's super exciting. Well, if you could give just one last piece of advice to our listeners, what would it be?
Well, I guess I'd say keep disrupting, keep innovating, keep offering your patients and your referring physician partners a choice in their care, and maybe keep asking questions of your service providers. Like I encourage you to look for folks that are as invested in your business and its success as you are.
Yeah. Any particular questions that you'd say?
Talk to me about the next biosimilar product that's coming out. Where, what can they do for me? Talk to me about where am I buying a product that I could get a alternative one at a higher net cost recovery for me? What are the things I can do that can bolster the economic viability of my business?
Perfect. Oh, I love tangible advice that people can implement like tomorrow in their practice. Thank you so much for all of this information, all your pearls of wisdom, and we're really excited to have you connected with WeInfuse.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you. This is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about our business, but mostly talk to the listeners out there. This is we're super passionate about this. We always appreciate a chance to come and talk about it.
What great information from Layne Martin of Morris Dickson about specialty pharmacy distribution. I really appreciate his approach in thinking first about what patients and infusion providers need to be successful, and the company's dedication to business practices that put patient outcomes and patients' needs in front. Well, if you aren't familiar with the WeInfuse software platform and Rx Toolkit's web-based resources, I encourage you to take a test drive and check them out. Be sure to ask about that Morris Dickson integration while you do that. These tools can save you time and money in your practice while making infusions safer for patients and caregivers. My name is Amanda Brummett, and we'll catch you in the next episode.